Hello, this is again Zeta TV, Eunika Chojecka, and today we'll talk about American election with Scotty Curlee, an American patriot, filmmaker, and assistant professor at Liberty University, the largest Christian university in the world. Hello, Scotty Curlee. It's great to have you for the second time in our TV.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
It's our pleasure. I know that you're a Christian who love your country and you're a patriot. And my first question is that who won this presidential election, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I think it's yet to be told. Certainly there is mainstream media saying that candidate Biden has won this election. But the reality right now is the fact that it is in the hands of the court. In fact, I received a text at 4 o'clock asking Americans to pray as President Trump and his legal team presented a case in front of the Supreme Court. So I think that the elections have not been called as of yet. The fact that mainstream media feels that the candidate Biden has won does not mean that the election was in fact won by that candidate. We need to go through the legal system and make sure that the legal process is a free and fair election, which is what every American deserves here in the United States of America.
But could you tell us, was this election a fraud? What is going on during this election?
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to figure out. There has been a lot of whistleblowers, people who have been observers in the poll counting facilities that were told that they couldn't be there. There are instances of people who actually threw out Trump ballots that are on social media saying that, hey, I was a person counting these ballots and I threw out all the Trump ballots. Now there is word through a whistleblower that there was a software, two software in fact. One is called Hammer, the other is called Scorecard, that originally the CIA was using in foreign nations to flip elections, and they're saying that this was used here in the United States for the 2020 elections. And if you Google Lou Dobbs, Fox Business, and Hammer, you'll see videos that talk about this with General Michael Flynn's attorneys, that in fact that these software do exist, that the United States government under the leadership of the CIA were covertly using these softwares overseas to influence elections, and that it was used here in the United States. So I think there's a lot of information out there. These things need to be investigated thoroughly, and Americans, again, need to have a free and fair election in order for us to know who the president is for the next 4 years.
But what is going on? What Donald Trump is trying to do now? Could you explain to our Polish viewers what Trump's lawyers are going to do with the election results?
Yeah, so again, I think this will end up in the hands of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court needs to decide whether this has been a free and fair election. By all indications, with the information that we have seen from all over the place, there is video evidence. There is now whistleblowers coming out, and even the gentleman who designed the software is coming out with this information. And so this all needs to be investigated. And I think the Trump's legal team is taking it through the appropriate legal process to make sure that Americans are represented fairly, which all the information indicates that they are not being represented fairly with their votes. I mean, you've got dead people voting. You've got people voting 2 or 3 times. You've got fraudulent fake ballots being counted. So these are all things that make Americans lose hope in the legal system, which is a huge problem. We need to make sure that this process of voting is, again, a free and fair process for all Americans.
What are your personal predictions regarding the final results of the election? What are the most probable scenarios?
Yeah, that is a great question. Let's look at a case study in 2000. Mainstream media announced that Al Gore had won the election, that he was the president-elect. And it was 60 days. He was celebrating for 60 days before it was flipped, right? And so we have case studies in the past where mainstream media has said one thing, they have a particular narrative, and they're going to ram that narrative throughout all their pipelines to the American people. There are a lot of things going on right now. We've got all the mainstream media speaking about a particular thing, saying that Biden has won. You've got social media, you've got big tech, you have Google, you have Facebook, and you have Twitter, basically suppressing any information that people are posting that does not fit that narrative. They're being silenced. Their voices are being silenced. These are things that happen in China, in Russia, in Iran. These are not things that should happen in the United States of America. And so until this process goes through the court, we're not going to know who the president will be for the next 4 years.
But I have a question about the Republicans. Why didn't they prepare better to secure the elections, to secure the honesty, to secure the process of votes counting?
Yeah. So if you look, in 2017, there were some provisions that were taken by the Department of Homeland Security because they saw that the election process is an important process to the infrastructure of the American way of life. So I think they did. I think we're going to see some information come out here in the near future that is going to be quite telling. Now, again, we have to allow the court system to navigate all that information. There's a plethora of information out there, and I think we're going to learn some things that may not be mainstream in terms of what the public knows. But I think those things will be revealed in the days to come.
So you're optimistic regarding the final results of the elections?
Again, the case study shows, when we look back at 2000 and Gore and what happened there, mainstream media does not elect the president of the United States. They can carve out a certain initiative, a narrative, and say this is what's happened or they believe this. And it is an information campaign. It's psychological operations, right? And they're trying to ram this thing through. But again, here in America, we have to go through the proper protocols. We have to make sure, we have to ensure that this is a free and secure election. Without that, the American people will lose their American way of life. That is not how we do things in America. We have to go through the proper channels, and that is what's going on here in America today.
We pray for you and for President Trump. I want to ask about the reaction of Christians at Liberty University. You are an assistant professor at this university. After the so-called official results that Joe Biden won, what was the reaction?
Yeah. Again, I think those of us who know what is going on with the information campaign, those of us who understand what social media is doing, again, Google, Facebook, Twitter, suppressing information. You've got all the major networks giving a certain narrative. We understand what is going on, that this is psychological operations. And if you look at from that framework, we understand that this is a long process. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. And so we are in prayer. We are praying for our president, President Donald Trump. We are praying for the Supreme Court, and we are praying for a free and fair election. That is what we deserve as Americans. If at the end of this process, if Joe Biden received enough votes to become the president, then he deserves that. But again, America deserves a free and fair election process. That is the American way.
But America seems to be a divided nation. So many of people now are cheering up because of so-called Biden victory. Why do you think that America is no longer a Christian country?
Yeah, I think part of that is because mainstream media and social media have done such a great job. Listen, they have won three things in the last 60 years. They have won entertainment, they have won academia, and they have won politics. And in order to change a generation, you have to win those three things for the long game. If you can educate people to think a certain way, and then you can use propaganda through entertainment, and then you can change laws, you basically control the behavior of people for the future. Those of us who are aware of that understand that. Those who are not are influenced by that without knowing that they are being influenced. And this is what we need to be on guard for as Americans.
And what do you think, what should be changed in the life and in the thinking of evangelical Christian churches in the U.S. To get your nation back to Christ?
Yeah. So we need to be active. We need to be active. You know, there are people right now, they're starting a movement to leave Facebook and go to different apps right now, like Parler and WeMe. My suggestion is stay on Facebook. It's okay to have Parler and WeMe, but stay on Facebook and share the truth. Share what is going on. We have to implement Galatians 6:9. Do not grow weary in doing good. For in due time, if you don't give up, right, we're going to be blessed with the end outcome. So folks, we got to fight. We got to fight. We got to get in the fight politically. We got to get in the fight through entertainment, and we got to get in the fight academically. We must do this. We can no longer, as Christians, sit on the sidelines and see how things play out. We must get involved for the future, not for us, but for the future generations to come.
But why did evangelical Christians in America believe that they cannot be involved in politics, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think part of it is laziness, right? In China, faith is more real because we are persecuted in China as believers. So when people meet, their Christianity means something. Here in America, we have become lazy. We've become complacent. Our faith is going to be a lot more real if we practice it each day because we have oppression. Hopefully it won't come to that. Hopefully we won't have a society here in America where we have socialism and eventually communism, a Marxist communism. People need to wake up because what is on the line is freedom and the American way of life.
Our Christian friend from the States, from Texas, Lana, wrote, anyone else feel like we are in Narnia waiting for Aslan to show up in the battle for kingdom? And my question is, does America has that kind of spiritual evangelical leader now?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that question with the connection. Can you repeat that?
It was about the C.S. Lewis Narnia, about the book, and after that the film. And anyone else feel like we are in Narnia waiting for Aslan to show up in the battle for the kingdom? So my question is, does America has a kind of spiritual leader, evangelical Christian?
Yeah. I think the time for looking for a leader is not the right approach. We must all be leaders. We must all step up and practice our faith. And if we don't do that, I'm going to see if I can get some more light here. I don't know if you guys can see me. I know it's quite dark. I'm sitting in my car here. Hang on a second. Can you see me okay? All right.
It's okay.
Can you see me? Is that better?
Yes, a little bit better.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I think the time is now for us to rise up. We must be the leaders of the future. We can no longer wait on somebody to be the spiritual leader. We must step up and be the change that we want to see here in America. And that is the responsibility of every Christian, to rise up and to live our faith as born-again believers.
Our editor-in-chief, Pastor Paweł Chojecki, said that American evangelical Christians and Republicans underestimated the importance of this election, and that this election is not only the political fight, but the fight for survival of our civilization. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I believe that this is probably the tipping point of whether the United States continues on a trajectory of freedom as a republic or leans toward a socialistic, eventually a communistic way of life. So I do believe this is an incredibly important election, and people do not understand the battle that Donald Trump has fought on behalf of the American people. I think this president has done more for this country than most Americans will realize or will ever really come to terms with.
Scotty Curlee, thank you so much for these words. And as I said, we praying, and we will be praying for you and for Donald Trump to win this election. Thank you so much. Scotty Curlee, a Christian, a patriot, and a filmmaker from the U.S. was with us.
Thank you. God bless you guys.
God bless you. It was Against the Tide TV from Poland. Eunika Chojecka. See you soon.